What does it look like after a month?
Here we can see marked with these zip ties the clusters where the fruit was damaged. Here the leaves have been removed, and here on the next clusters we see undamaged, unaffected fruit.
So you could say that it helped a bit.
Definitely, yes.
Good morning, Mirosław Maziarka, Agro Smart Lab, mid-July. Today we are at the farm of Mr. Jacek Kusz. Good morning.
Good morning. Poniatowa.
The town? Near Lublin, right?
Yes, near Lublin.
We contacted Mr. Jacek somewhere in mid-June because unfortunately you were hit by a disease.
Yes, I noticed the first symptoms in early June. Browning of the fruit on the clusters. Well, and we contacted each other to prevent it and to somehow implement some remedies and prevent this disease.
Yes, because in Mr. Jacek's case, you did swabs yourself, right?
Yes, yes.
It's about the ToBRFV disease on tomatoes. At the beginning of June, no, in mid-June, we also took samples and tested them in our laboratory. Here you can see the results where the PCR confirmed that unfortunately the symptoms that were visible on the fruit
Tak.
had huge amounts of the ToBRFV virus in them.
Yes.
And we started. Mr. Jacek agreed to do tests here using the Agro EC Protect method because studies conducted at the Institute of Horticulture showed high effectiveness in combating the virus through fogging, spraying surfaces, and as you can see here on the graph, also reducing the virus in tomatoes, in studies, in experiments, where we reduced the amount of this virus 1,500 times from 6 million to 4,000. And Mr. Jacek, on a living organism, basically you wanted to save the plantation, right?
Yes, because it was the beginning, practically the beginning, only the second month of harvesting. The beginning, so it's a very difficult situation to ruin the beginning of the season, which is the most important in production, right?
And when was the planting?
The planting was in mid-January.
And symptoms only in early June, late May.
Yes. Until that time, nothing, no indicated any symptoms, any like that this virus is active in my facility.
As you can see here, these photos show exactly that from mid-June, where there was a huge amount of affected fruit that wasn't fit for sale, right?
Yes. They were removed from the plants. The plants were marked with bands. And I walked around, observed, we watched to see if it was getting worse, if it was still coming out of the plant. And it's hard to say why on one plant the next fruit on the next clusters was less affected or not at all and was fit for harvest, while on other plants there was a concentration, and on subsequent fruit clusters this virus appeared with quite high intensity.
But there, as we saw that part of the greenhouse, there was a large amount affected.
Yes, there we observed the first symptoms. There was the highest concentration of this virus. In other parts of the greenhouse, there was very little of it. Well, and we started using this disinfection of knives, pruning shears. Trolleys were disinfected after leaving each.
Yes, because I want to add here with Mr. Jacek, the first thing I advised was to eliminate knives. Because knives in many other diseases we've seen, whether it's bacterial canker, clavibacter, pseudomonas, or fusarium, unfortunately, you can't keep an eye on the worker to make sure they disinfect every time. You switch to plucking leaves.
Yes, we switched to plucking. At first it went a little problematic, but after 1-2 days, the workers got the hang of it, learned, and they don't complain. The efficiency is the same as with cutting with knives, and it's more effective because we don't transfer from plant to plant this virus.
Yes, because The principle of operation here to limit these symptoms was based on the method tested in the laboratory at the Institute of Horticulture, where the plants were sprayed, are still being sprayed, and were also fed into the line
Drip line.
on the
yes.
drip line. And please tell us how it's been from the beginning, because we're already halfway, so a month. And how many times a week?
For 2 weeks, the plants were sprayed 3 times a week, and twice the preparation was dosed intravenously.
How many times?
2%, yes, 2% through 4 cycles, through 4 watering cycles for each solenoid valve.
And spraying?
Four and a half,
Spraying.
4.5%. Yes. It went on the whole facility, 600 liters of water.
Per tank, where it's infected.
On the whole thing. We sprayed the whole greenhouse. We didn't single out the more infected part, but it went on the whole facility. There was spraying.
Well, okay, because when I was there in mid-June, well, I was also shocked because there was a huge amount of these infected tomatoes, which you said were not fit for sale.
Mhm.
What does it look like after a month? Because in most cases you should remove all of it, but then you would lose the yield completely, right?
Well, yes, after a month, some of the plants, I can't say what percentage of those infected plants we managed to save, meaning they were fit for harvesting again. And some, a much smaller percentage is still, however, still infected and is being removed from the plant. Well, the first symptoms we observed here in these bays, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. These were marked with these ribbons, and on the other side, but here, this side is the south side, and here it's the sunniest. Then that other side opposite is a slightly cooler greenhouse from the north, and here there are fewer symptoms. Less of this virus is noticed. Practically, you could say that it's practically not there. Here we see, marked with these zip ties, the clusters where the fruit was damaged. Here the leaves are removed, and here already on the next clusters, we see undamaged, unaffected fruit. Here, likewise, the second plant was also marked where there was clearly damaged, affected fruit. We go forward. Here the proper fruit was picked, and here is the proper fruit which is not unaffected, and here is fruit that is starting to ripen. It will be ready for harvest in a short time, in the near future. Here we have this bay where the first symptoms of this disease were. We removed those clusters that were no longer fit for sale, and we also marked with these black bands, and which later we removed those fruits. Then, after a couple, 2-3 next clusters, we see improvement. These fruits are already uninfected, without this disease. On the other hand, where there was such a quite high concentration and intensity of these symptoms, still this virus is present.
So you could say it helped a bit with...
Definitely, yes, definitely. I talked to experts, people in the industry, and they said that there's no cure for this ToBRFV virus, right?
Generally, there is no cure in the world yet. Protec Agroeka is also not going to eliminate it completely. We're just reducing this virus. It's still in the plant, unfortunately. We also keep taking fruit or leaves for testing here to see how it looks. But in the meantime, at the end of June, we had a very critical situation with the heat. And here you were worried, I was also worried how the plant would hold up in this heat. Tell us what we did there and how it went.
Yes. I mean, in this heat, when those temperatures above 35 degrees hit, the plant handled the heat very well. There were no losses. Well, I should mention that this was thanks to a very good root system of the new mat that was laid this year. And the plant handled the heat very well, despite our fears. It made it through, and it's still maintained.
Because here we used the method that was tested last year at the Institute of Horticulture. Namely, we found that hypochlorous acid spraying with Agro Protect forces the stomata to open for 2 to 3 days. And I talked to Mr. Jacek here about spraying before the heat, giving it a lot of water, because the plant then draws about 20% more water, but it cools itself down with this water from the inside. And that was the most important thing for us, because in the heat, as you said, there are more infected plants in the southern part, so higher temperature can most likely affect the growth. And here, fortunately, we managed to stop it, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, we observed that in this part of the greenhouse where it's the sunniest, where the sun is quite strong and intense, there the virus is. There it has favorable conditions to develop. And as I mentioned earlier, on the northernmost shaded part, there is definitely less of it, or I would say it's practically not there at all.
Okay, I have another question for you. You switched to tearing off leaves. It's been a month now. Everyone is afraid that if we switch to not cutting but tearing, there is a risk of grey mold. How is it here? Do you have it? Did these Agro Protect sprays help with that too?
Yes, it helped too, absolutely. Before using these treatments at all, I saw an increase in grey mold, and now this grey mold has stopped. Yes, as we do these treatments twice a week now, you can see that after tearing, especially after tearing the leaves, we do the treatment of spraying to protect the plant and this wound from diseases. So that's a plus, very good. It has a beneficial effect, this product. Stopped, yes.
That's great, because you didn't use any chemicals anymore, or did you?
No.
So only Agro Protect, just like we said at the beginning, twice a week in the line and 3 times spraying, and now twice spraying. And how many? Once or twice still in the line do you
Yes.
apply?
Now once a week, yes.
Once a week. Well, that's great. So now it's mid-July. We'll definitely be here probably sometime in September, October. We want to see how it looks, because you could say that at the moment you are sort of protected, but we don't know to what extent yet.
Well, we'll see now. We'll see how it goes, because you can see that now, after this time where this compensation of this virus was, and I see that now it's getting onto the stems. So we don't know how it is now, whether the concentration is already so high that it can't handle it.
Yes, because I must say, Mr. Jacek has some type of virus that there were no symptoms on the leaves, on the plants at first, only on the fruit. And now again, there is less on the fruit. But again, they appear somewhere on the leaves or on the stem.
Yes, on the fruit. Yes, it's showing on the stem, showing this concentration on the stem, yes.
Yeah. So we have to check here, or we have to go back to using it a bit more, because adding it through the root system is meant to clean the roots and also the vascular bundles. On the other hand, spraying or fogging is meant to locally, by contact and deeply, limit this virus in the leaves where it multiplies.
In the plant, in the leaves, yes, in this above ground part, yes, exactly.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Yek, we wish you good luck, perseverance. We'll still be in touch to see how it looks and to
Thank you very much.
to the end.
To the end of the season, and then we'll think about what next, and what crops to grow, so that it doesn't affect us next year. This virus that is spreading like this and came to us.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.